So, man, we've gone through a ton of fucking mayors. We've gone through Harvey I. Sloan, William B. Stansbury, Jerry Abramson. Now we're at David L. Armstrong. So Jerry Abramson was in for 13 years. David L. Armstrong was in there for 4 years, and then Jerry Abramson come back for another 8 years. So Jerry Abramson has been in there for 20 years, nearly 2 decades. Jerry Abramson's been Louisville's mayor, and probably the mayor for life, right? 5 terms. He's been in 5 terms. In other countries, they had dictatorships for 20, 30 years because they grab power and just hold on to it. But we keep on, re-choosing our authoritarian oppressors. So now we're on David L. Armstrong. Now, David L. Armstrong, he was only in there for 4 years, but a lot happened in his 4 years that he was there. So as the mayor of Louisville, prior to becoming mayor, he had served as Jefferson County Judge Executive from 89 to 99. The city of Louisville was merged with Jefferson County near the end of his term. Armstrong was a supporter of the ballot measure that brought about the measure. So it was happening during his tenure, but he's not the first metro government. Now you have David L. Armstrong. He had several successes, most notably his support for the revitalization of downtown Louisville. Some of the projects he championed were expansions of the medical district, 111 million Marriott Hotel, 4th Street Live, and Louisville Glass Works. The Louisville Extreme Park was one of his signature accomplishments as mayor. The Louisville Extreme Park is a skate park. Tony Hawk on one of his games actually put the Extreme Park in the video game because it is a state-of-the-art facility. So he accomplished a lot, brought a lot of projects into Louisville. Now, David L. Armstrong's term as mayor was marked by several controversies. So even though he takes credit for some of this, you don't know, a business could just set up shop and make a ton of money with having nothing to do with the political establishment. So this controversy coming up here, several NBA teams had considered a move to Louisville. Several NBA teams. We have no professional teams in Kentucky. We have the best, college basketball programs, U of L, UK, in one state, but we don't have any NBA teams. We don't have any not only national basketball, professional national basketball, but we don't have baseball, we don't have football, we have no professional teams whatsoever in the whole state of Kentucky. So you have several NBA teams, not just one or two, but several of them are considering a move to Louisville during David L. Armstrong's term, and nothing materialized. And David L. Armstrong is blamed for this. He's criticized for not exploring the possibility of a downtown arena. Where are you going to put this arena? He didn't explore it. Armstrong says that he shouldn't have single-handedly expected, what, am I supposed to just bring a franchise to Louisville by myself? Yes, David L. Armstrong, you were supposed to, okay? So you didn't bring it in there. You didn't have a good leadership when it comes to it, and a lot of the members of the city's NBA pursuit team blame David L. Armstrong for not securing the NBA team. And they're right about that. So David L. Armstrong, he's bragging about the Marriott Hotel, $111 million Marriott Hotel, 4th Street Live, Louisville Glass Works, the Extreme Park, but he could have brought the NBA team in, and he didn't do that. One of the best things that David L. Armstrong did was when he fired the police chief, Gene Sherrod. Now, Gene Sherrod, this stupid piece of shit fucking bastard, okay? So, fucking Gene fucking Sherrod. He's the chief of police, and Desmond Rudolph is killed on the streets by plainclothes people who just popped out of nowhere. There was no guns, no drugs was found on him, and he tried to drive away real fast, but they shot at his vehicle. I think it was a van, and then they went up to him while he was still living, and they shot him again to make sure he was completely dead. Desmond Rudolph, that happened in 99. So once the officers had killed Desmond Rudolph, the police chief, Gene Sherrod, gives them Valor Awards for something else, but he gives them a Valor Awards, right? Gives them courageous awards. You were courageous in what had happened. And that just set off a political firestorm. They killed unarmed young black man, murdered a fucking unarmed black man, and then they're given courageous medals. For one thing, I don't know, you don't have to fire the people, maybe not, I don't know, but it's like they're going the exact opposite direction. Instead of punish them or give them any punitive. They're celebrating it as if that's what the LMPD is supposed to do. The LMPD is just supposed to kill unarmed, non-violent, innocent young black men. And so that's what it seems like, because when Police Chief Gene Sherrod is fired by David L. Armstrong, that's when the fucking police go unhinged and they do a military coup d'etat and they do a march on the city of Louisville, the city hall at Louisville. The Ku Klux Klan also jumped in because, you know, they're in the same boat. They're in the same interest. You've had the Confederate legacy for a long-ass time. You've had Paul C. Barth, right? You had Paul C. Barth. You have lots of Confederates. I mean, everybody that actually John Henry Whalen had got elected was fucking Democrat, or was a Republican. Democratic Party was known for the Ku Klux Klan and for being racist, and the Confederates, it was a Republican Party that was trying to outlaw slavery. So, but you just have a ton of Louisville Mayors that are Confederates: William O. Head, John H. Bushmeyer, P. Booker Reed, and Paul C. Barth. So you have all these, you know, fucking Confederates that's being elected into positions, and is it a big fucking surprise when you see some of this Confederate fucking Ku Klux Klan bullshit coming up again? No, I don't think it's a surprise at all. So between actually 99 to 2004, I want to say during his tenure, but actually you had lots of innocent black men that were being shot, and it was just getting absolutely ridiculous. So they fired, Police Chief Gene Sherrod was fired by the mayor, David L. Armstrong, which he's in the right to do, right? He's completely within the right to do something like that. And when he's elected, or when he's in office, you know, so he fires that, and then when he fires, then the police march on the streets. Just like, you know, the Klan marched on the streets, the police marched on the streets, just like 1975 when they were busing under... I guess either Stansbury or Sloan, when desegregation had happened in 75, 76, 77. That was when, you know, you had 1975, James Blaine Hudson said that it was a mini civil war here in Louisville, a mini civil war. So white people was everywhere protesting, fucking standing up for democracy, but they was against fucking, you know, integration, right? They was against integration. That's when white people stand up in Louisville. That's what white people do in Louisville, is whenever black folks want, you know, black children want to be educated along with white children, they fucking throw a bitch fit. And it's bullshit. It's such bullshit that happens like that. But I'm just trying to show you a continuity. You got Paul Barth, who's going back into prison now, right? You got grandson Paul Barth, who stole $200,000 from the Crusade for Children. So there's still corruption going on. White supremacists, they don't care about people. They're psychos. Actually, a lot of CEOs and politicians have the traits of a psychopath. Lack of empathy, no anxiety, don't give a shit about anybody but themselves. So this happens in 1999. It happens right here in Louisville. The police chief got fired. The police chief who resided over the killings of this kid, and then he gives courageous medals to the fuckers that did it. I think it's Paul Kincaid and somebody else. So two fucking officers that was murdered, you know, mostly into the murder of Desmond Rudolph, because I heard it was like a gang of people, a gang of plain clothes, LMPD that just jump out of the fucking nowhere. I think it was like the White Owl Liquors. They start shooting, and then he wrecks about a block away in somebody else's yard, and then he gets shot again. So he's barely surviving, he's wounded, and then they just shoot to kill. He had no guns, no drugs, nothing on him, you know, just shot in the back. So being fired, the African-American leaders was bragging about it, but then the police chief and his colonels, they had resigned, and then they started marching on the fucking lawns and shit. They was all pissed off. Armstrong didn't run to be the first mayor. He would have been a heavy underdog to Jerry Abramson, and so... okay. I was like, oh my god, this isn't Abramson, is it? So in early 2010, Armstrong stated he was considered campaigning for governor of Kentucky, though he eventually chose not to run. So David L. Armstrong is still around, still in politics, and still considering to become governor. He was the 48th mayor of Louisville. Now the 49th mayor would have been your Jerry Abramson. He puts Robert White, appoints Robert White at the helm of the police chief. probably the best decision that Abramson made. And Robert White did actually appease a lot of race relations. I mean, he was honest, and he would go through each case and see what was right and what was wrong. And he didn't always go along with what the African American community members would point out, but he was, I would say he was a friend, and he cared. You know, he cared about making the police force better. He also gave a presentation to talk to me while I was at U of L, and I was very impressed with him. Very confident, and, you know, knew exactly what he wanted, where he was at, knew what his limitations and capabilities were. So, yeah. Greg Fisher. So that's Jerry Abramson, and now we're at Greg Fisher. So Jerry Abramson's in there for 20 years. And in 2011, we get Greg Fisher. He was sworn in as mayor on January 3rd, 2011. So he wins the Democratic primary, 45% of the vote, and wins the general election with 51%. So barely squeaks out a victory. Greg Fisher is a corporate Democrat, right? On September 9th, 2011, Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels ordered the closure of the Sherman-Minton Bridge because of a structural crack as a result of the backflow of traffic into and out of Louisville. Fisher met with Barack Obama to talk about the future of the bridge. So he's a corporate Democrat. We have poverty in Louisville. We have 10,000 children who are homeless. 10,000 kids. 10,000 kids are in JCPS who are homeless. And then you also have 10,000 homeless adults. You have Fishervilles all over the place. You got a Fisherville right next to, I mean, any of the homeless tent places are Fishervilles. So anywhere these homeless camps are, you know, you can't be in a public spot, right? You can't do Occupy, but you can have a camp out in the middle of the woods until you're fucking caught, right? You can't live out in the middle of the fucking woods, because that's a crime too. It's a crime to be fucking homeless. It's a crime to be fucking poor. And that's why I say he's a corporate Democrat. There's also chalking. They were putting chalk on a sidewalk. They considered making that illegal, but I think they ruled against it, or they passed it. I can't even remember. Fucking chalking, you can't put, I mean, free speech. I mean, chalking is as free speech as you can get. It's chalk. You write it on the concrete, then it ain't there no more. What the fuck? That's a law? Ain't no fucking law. But it just shows he's a corporate Democrat. He cares about the corporation, cares about 4th Street Live, cares about the insights, cares about, you know, anything that has LLC at the end of it. But when it comes to the 99%, when it comes to homeless, when it comes to poor people, he don't give a fuck. Really, what his thing, Occupy, lasted longer in this city than any other city. The actual encampment did. And really, it was just, he was tied up, and it was a lawyer. There was a lawyer that was involved on it, and he was the one putting all the pressure on the city. That lawyer was a badass lawyer. I wish I would have had more conversations with him, but it was a bad organization. All of Occupy was bad organization. There's too many people trying to co-opt the thing, and then they're all fucking elitist snobs, right? They fucking go to the university and they learn how to be a bunch of snobs at the university, and they come around and they're like, oh, we're better than you, and we think this and we think that, and we don't give a fuck if you're down with, you know, and it's bullshit. That's what happened. The 1848 revolutions failed because the intellectuals couldn't relate to the working class, and you guys are working class people, but you're acting like fucking intellectual snobs. You know, that's what the education kind of teaches you to do, but that's fucking bullshit. That's wrong, and I wish we would have got something out of it, but nothing changed, no structure. Anyways, how Occupy ended was he sent a bill, electric bill, to one of the homeless people there. So the homeless guy has like a $200 bill, and that sucks that the whole thing ends on $200. We couldn't have got donations to be able to save the thing. Nah, we're against money, no influence. We don't want no money at all. We don't want, you know, to be bribed out and all this other shit. Well, if we could have got $20 donated by 10 people, we could have still had an Occupy encampment and still could have carried on with the damn thing. Too many people was more worried about power. There was no space for me to speak. There was no space for me to say anything. I wanted democracy. I told Carl I want democracy. Direct democracy, and he kind of laughs, ha ha ha, and tells me to write this article. I write the article, they laugh, ha ha ha, there's no fucking newsletter, you dumb son of a bitch. Say he fucking tricks me, I fucking do all this goddamn labor, he fucking tricks me, doesn't do shit, but he's expecting all these other establishment motherfuckers to get in. This is about Greg Fisher. So Greg Fisher's a corporate Democrat because with Occupy, he didn't give a shit about the 99% about what the things that we were saying or about the homelessness. He did give us a shit about the blight that tents had to the city. You know, it was right there on Muhammad, it was right there next to City Hall, and then it was on Muhammad Ali, so they kept pushing it back and shit. and really it was a PR thing. They just didn't want their business friends coming in and seeing that there was poor people in homelessness. Yeah, we got poor people. Yeah, there's 10,000 homeless children, 10,000 homeless adults. There's poverty, there's police brutality, there's crime, there's racism, there's prison rates are going too high, police brutality, pollution. Go on. There's a million fucking problems that Kentucky has. And instead of actually solving these problems, Greg Fisher just wants to sweep it under the carpet and give all the money to his criminal Wall Street buddies and bankers. He's a corporate Democrat.